a question for you. Have you ever wanted to play Quidditch? Hey kittens, it's Megan, and today I'm doing a review on the first book that I read this month, and that is This Is How We Fly by Anna Mariano. This Is How We Fly is a twist on a modern retelling of Cinderella that takes place in Texas with a Mexican-Irish family. It's a mixed family. It has, of course, your Cinderella character. Her name is Ellen, living with her father and her stepmother Connie and her younger sister. With every retelling of Cinderella, you're going to have that friction between the stepmother and the Cinderella role. So Ellen does not get along with her stepmother Connie, to the point where Connie actually left the country after a fight with Ellen and took her daughter with her. So she's been holding this family emotionally hostage for a few months, and Ellen is doing everything she can not to piss off her stepmom to the point where she'll leave again because her father could not take it. So Ellen feels that she is kind of the victim of the family. She is always being singled out, and her family will be much better without her when she goes off to college. Well, because of her negative attitude towards Connie, she ends up grounded, and this grounding takes place over the entire summer. Ellen's oldest friend has decided that she's going to discover who she is without her friends surrounding her like they were in high school, and so she pulls away. So Ellen and her other friend Melissa decide that they're going to spend the summer joining a Quidditch team in the park. As soon as they join the team, Melissa starts to pull away, and Ellen has no idea what she's done wrong, what she can do to fix it, or really who she is without all of her friends. So this whole story is really a coming of age, her figuring that out, as well as bridging the gap between childhood and adulthood. You know that a character is a strong character when you can find bits and pieces of yourself in them. Now, of course, I was the nerdy kid in my family. I was the one that I don't think, my mother understood. And so she bonded strongly with all of my other siblings. Well, I know that for me, we didn't really have as much in common growing up. That's fine, but, my relationship with my mother is great, but I felt that same essence of being lost in my youth as Ellen did when she is interacting with her family, thinking, oh, okay, where do I fit into this? Because I also have a mixed family. I come from a quote-unquote broken home. My parents divorced when I was 3, and then remarried my step-parents, and I grew up very loved in both households, but it was still a very hard thing for me because I was the middle of both of them. I think when Ellen's friends and family pulled away from her, it wasn't intentional, it wasn't done in a mean way, but it was, they pulled away to try and do things on their own, and Ellen had that inner anxiety and depression, from what I saw, that made her think that it was her fault, that she did something wrong. And when you have anxiety and depression, you can't control those thoughts. They're obtrusive, they are oppressive, and it takes you a lot to move through them. But while you're doing that, it does leave you in emotional spots where you will let people into your life that are not necessarily good for you. Such is the case with Ellen when she finds herself spending a lot of time with a boy that she's attracted to but doesn't actually like as a person. When it comes to character growth, that's what this entire book is about, is character growth. And I really enjoyed watching Ellen go from, anger all the time to managing her outbursts and to finally allowing herself to love the person that she was without everybody else around her. Now, Quidditch is a huge part of this story, and she has all of these different relationships with other people and different intensities because of Quidditch. And, I love the fact that fandom can be family in that aspect because, yes, you may not, hang out with them in all aspects of life, but fandom brings people together that normally wouldn't spend time together. And I think that it's such a magical thing to do, magical Quidditch, that it brought the growth to another level for me because I identified so much with all of that. Another thing that I really enjoyed about the character growth here is Melissa, Ellen's friend who encouraged her to join Quidditch and then pulled away. So this is kind of a mini spoiler, so I apologize, but it is very important because you see Melissa struggle with her sexuality, with her sexual identity of whether or not she's straight or not, what part of the spectrum she falls into for the LGBTQ mafia. And I think that as someone who struggled with that and seeing or reading about somebody doing the same thing, it was very hard impacting and I think that the writer really did a good job there. The plot itself was pretty simplistic. I mean, it's a twist on Cinderella. There really were no surprises, but it was an organic growth through the plot, and it built to this crescendo that was very cathartic for someone who hates confrontation. The pacing itself of this novel was pretty consistent. I mean, it was kind of slow in some points, but it really just pushed through and did a great job. World building. Okay, a lot of times in a contemporary novel, the backdrop just kind of fades away because it's something that you're very familiar with. Oh, in this one, the author managed to bring out all of the senses and entangle them in the story. You felt the heat, you smelled the amazing Mexican food, scraping your knees as you're running, that kind of thing. And it felt very familiar to my childhood, running around playing games, in the park. I missed being able to do that. COVID sucks, and I don't think I have any friends who would, want to go play Quidditch with me anymore. I have done it before, it's fun, but just the way that it was written, it really hammered in the nostalgia for me. I really love how, especially in the Quidditch scenes, how it felt that, I felt that flutter. When I was reading the original novels, how I used to get whenever I'd read about Quidditch. That flutter of anticipation, excitement, and it felt good to read about. The writing style was engaging, if a little simplistic and juvenile, but when you're dealing with a character who has those juvenile aspects in young adult novels, then you're going to see that a lot. The thing about the writing style, though, is that it faded into the background. It wasn't, obtrusive to me reading the story. It just kind of was there. It told me the story. I could see everything happening. It wasn't as sophisticated as some of the novels that I've read in the past. For the impact of this story, I feel like it was a great coming of age novel, dealing with, the nerdy things, the family dynamics, cultural aspects. There was a lot of representation in this novel in both race and sexuality, and I think that it did a great job bringing them all together in this hodgepodge. Overall, my enjoyment is that I loved it. I loved the narrator. She did a great job bringing the story to life, and it kind of sucks when you are part of the older crowd now, because I am over 30, but it sucks when you're reading YA novels that are contemporary, because when it comes to the friction between the parents and the protagonists, you see both sides of the argument, and it kind of sucks. It pulls you out of it a little bit and makes you think about, how you acted when you were that age. And, I think I almost wanted to text my mom at one point where I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I was a brat, It sucks to see both sides of the argument, but it was done in such a way that I enjoyed the whole ride. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I want to hear from you. Comment down below, would you play Quidditch? If you have played Quidditch, how did you like it? Did it feel weird having to run around with those PVC pipe or dollar store broom like I had to between your legs while you're trying to do everything, and let me know. I want to hear about that because I think, bringing something so iconic that is, a magical game to life is such a fun bonding experience for others, and it's just a fun game to play. So that's all for today's video. I hope you guys liked it. If you like my content, think about subscribing, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!